Welcome to the last week of the Daily Dose. My name is Trent Jenkins, and it's been a privilege to be able to be with you, part of the Daily Dose. It's not ending completely, it's just changing. And I can't wait for you to be able to experience the next iteration of the Daily Dose. And I want to encourage you, tune in this weekend to our weekend messages as Pastor Chris is going to be talking about what's taking place next involving our app and what's going to be taking place with daily content. So if you're wondering what's taking place, you got to tune in this weekend. We are going to still have daily content. But for this week, we thought it'd be kind of fun to do some throwbacks. Believe it or not, it's been 7 years of the Daily Dose of us being with you every Monday through Friday. And for one season, it was actually Saturday and Sunday as well. But today we're going to be going back to Chris Brown's very first Daily Dose. It was actually October 23rd of 2017. And we're going to go into the book of John, John chapter 13. So let's take a look back at Chris Brown. A little more hair, a little less gray, but the same great word.
Well, hey, North Coast, Chris here. Thanks for taking this time with me on this Monday. And if you're doing this in the morning, I don't know if you're one of those that find it easy to get up on a Monday. I'm not. And yet Monday, because I get started late and it's got a full agenda, I just get going and I forget to do this. So thanks for doing this with me. We're just going to spend the next couple minutes in John chapter 13. If you were here this weekend in church, I was talking about getting back to serving, understanding on page 1 and 2 in the Bible, we were built to serve. We're created to glorify and serve God and serve others, and how we can find our purpose and our calling and why we're made and how we lost that from page 3 on. And we're going to talk about that today. We ended with saying there's an example Jesus gave. It's that last example he gave his disciples, the last image he wanted burned in their heads before he took the cross, the last thing he wanted them to reflect on and go, man, that was powerful. We find it in the upper room in John chapter 13, and we didn't have time to get to it this weekend. It's that night where 2 disciples go into a town and they prepare the meal. It's where the rest of the disciples and Jesus come in under nightfall. They've all entered that room of that Last Supper. And John chapter 13 says this: it was just before the Passover feast, and Jesus knew that his time had come for him to leave this world and go back to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. The evening meal was already being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things in his power, that he had come from God, and he was returning to God. So, circle, highlight, underline. He got up from that evening meal, took off his outer garments, wrapped a towel around his waist, and after that he poured water in a basin and he began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Jesus knew who he was, that he'd been given all power, and he knew where he was going. So this is what you do. This is what you do when you know who you are, where you've come from, and where you're going. And this is the culmination of what you do once you have title and position and power. The time for washing the feet has already taken place. It should have happened the moment these guys walked into the room. But on the second floor house, the owner of the house must have given them absolute privacy. He pulled the person from the door, the lowest slave that would wipe your feet, that would wipe those open-toed sandals, whatever dung and animal crap, if you will, that had been left on the roads that you've walked in. So you don't track it into a house that's luxurious enough to have a second floor. See, every disciple had an opportunity to stop and wash their own feet, but then you become the servant. Then you're expected to wash everyone's. Every disciple would have stutter-stepped when they walked in that door, wondering who's going to wash our feet. And when no servant was there, they all ran to the table. The evening meal has already been served. In other words, they all flunked this part of the final exam. So Jesus got up, and he grabbed the water, and he grabbed the towel, and you could have heard a pin drop when every disciple must be thinking, don't give it to me. Don't give it to me. Don't make me be the servant. And when the knees of the Son of God hit the floor and starts untying sandal after sandal and washing the feet, this is that final act. This is that last example. After 3 years of serving others, he now wants them to know this is what it's about. This is what you do with title, position, power, and authority. And this only comes when you know who you are, where you've come from, and where you're going. Otherwise, there's no way you want to be a servant. But when you and I have found who Jesus is, and what he's done in our lives and what he's given us. And we receive grace and mercy. And now I know who I am as a child of God and where I'm going. Now I find it easy to serve because I don't take on the value of a servant. I'm not a doorstop waiting there to clean up the dung from people's toes. I'm a child of God who's been given freedom, power, and authority. And now I can turn around and meet the needs of others. I love the way the Bible put this. He now shows them the full extent of his love. He's going to end this passage, and over the next couple days, we're going to break down a couple pieces of this. But he goes, now that you've seen me do this, you will be blessed if you can do it. It's that night in the upper room. After this, he's going to walk and take the cross. He's simply saying, here's where you're going to be blessed. If you can take all that you are and who that you are, and you remember where you've come from and where you're going, and you can use that to serve others today, that's when you're going to be blessed. Blessing today, find someone in your path to serve. Find someone to treat better than yourself. Find somewhere to be Christ-like and to step out into what you're created to do. Have a happy Monday. I'll see you tomorrow.